Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am really glad you're all here today. And as you could see from the thumbnail, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about some things that I have been struggling with recently. And I've really been going back and forth debating whether I should make this video or not. I always want my channel to be a place where hopefully you can come and maybe, learn about a new product or, see some clothes, or hopefully I can just make you smile. That is really what I'm hoping that I can do. So I always want it to be, a happy and a fun and informational place. So debating whether I should make this, I've been going back and forth, but decided that yes, I would go ahead and make this video. And one of the main reasons is that I honestly consider you friends. I've said it before, so many of you I really feel like I have connected with when we exchange comments, and it really means the world to me. And I also feel like myself personally that when I find out that someone else is struggling with something that I struggle with, it just makes me feel a little bit lighter. So maybe if some of you are struggling with these things too, that it could maybe make you feel like you're not alone. There's other people that can understand how you feel. All right, so we'll go ahead and let's jump in. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about today is struggling with the empty nest, being an empty nester. And I will say there have been some really good parts about being an empty nester. All that time that I have now that I'm able to do whatever it is that I want to do. That's a little freeing, and it's definitely a good thing. But I will say that this is the first summer that we've had no kids living here at home. And my husband does travel for work sometimes, so there's a lot of times when I am here alone. Luckily, I have my sweet dog, Louie. But, I'm here alone, and I have to tell you that sometimes the quiet just bothers me. It's so quiet sometimes, and I do find myself putting on the TV in the background or listening to music just because I feel sometimes really unsettled with how quiet it is around here. And this is the house that I brought both of my kids home from the hospital in. So in this very room that I'm sitting right now, 20-some years ago, I was watching them push cars and trucks around on the floor. And aside from just missing the energy that your kids bring to your home, I've also realized that it's brought up a lot of guilt of the times when they were younger, and those days that I had no patience, and I wasn't the mom that they deserved, and I certainly wasn't the mom that I wanted to be on those days. And I feel bad about that. I mean, it's hard to admit, but there were many days when it was just instead of appreciating where they were at in life, I struggled and was honestly just looking forward to bedtime some nights. And when I say that, it makes me feel really bad. I'm sorry. I am going to be talking about something today that I thought might be emotional, but this wasn't one of them, so I'm sorry. But I frankly have been surprised about, I guess it's because when they're not here, I'm reminiscing about the past, and then I was kind of surprised to be feeling the guilt on all those times in their life where I just was not the mom that I wanted to be, and I certainly wasn't the mom that they deserved. And what can you do? You can't go back at this point, but I don't know, it's been weighing on me recently. And I will say I am so incredibly blessed because I really have wonderful relationships with both of my sons. And I'm so blessed for that. And having adult children is amazing. And I just love watching their lives and, you know, watching what unfolds for them and, you know, being their biggest cheerleader. I love that. But a part of me misses them here at home and wishes that I could go back and redo those times when I wasn't the best mom. So I hope that some of you can relate to this, but it's just something that has been on my mind recently that I've definitely been struggling with. Okay, all right. The next thing I wanted to talk about is I have gained 7 pounds over the last year and really doing nothing differently. And I have a physical coming up next week that I'm really dreading because I've gained 7 pounds over a year. And I don't know if I don't think I've ever talked about this on my channel, but I do intermittent fasting and I have for almost 7 years now. And one of the main reasons that I started intermittent fasting is that I am a big eater. I really like to eat. I feel like a lot of the times I can eat more than most men. And I've always been that way. I'm a big eater with a big sweet tooth. And when I started intermittent fasting about 7 years ago, it was a perfect combination of, if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting, it's just where you have an eating window. Like what I started with is that I would stop eating at 7 o'clock at night. I wouldn't eat anything after 7 p.m. And then I wouldn't allow myself to have my first food, meal until after 11. And that's what I started with. And when I did that in the beginning, it was great because essentially between 11 and 7, I could really eat anything I wanted and I was still maintaining my weight. So I, was just so happy and I felt really good living that way. So I've been doing that for 7 years. And the older I get, I've had to kind of move my eating window back farther in the day, where most of the time now I start eating at around between 2 and 3 o'clock is when I have my first meal. So I stop eating at 7 p.m. still, and then usually don't have, I call it my lunch until about 2 or 3, and then I have dinner, and then I'm done for the day. And like I said, up until this past year, that's been working perfectly fine for me. Like I said, in that time frame, I could really just eat whatever I wanted and maintain my weight. But I must be being completely in menopause now that I'm gonna have to be tweaking this again. And it's just frustrating, it's really frustrating because yes, I do eat a lot, but I've always ate a lot and been able to maintain. So the fact that I gained 7 pounds and really didn't do anything differently is just really, really frustrating to me. And I do realize that I guess I'm lucky being tall because I feel like, 7 pounds being stretched out on my frame, might not look like 7 pounds if you're, 5 foot. I understand that, but it's still 7 pounds that I don't want, and I'm gonna have to make some, tweaks and changes from here on out to try to, to lose that, to get back to what I like as my comfortable weight. But it's just hard, when you get to this age where things that worked just don't work anymore. And I don't know, I get frustrated. I do get frustrated, and I think a lot of you can relate to this, because I know when I talk to my own friends that they're dealing with the same thing, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is that I have really been missing my mom and dad. And my mom passed away 7 years ago, and my dad 5 years ago. So it's not really fresh for me. And I will say that time definitely helps. For those of you who've lost loved ones, you know, right after you lose them, it's just that like pain that you feel. Some just can bring you to your knees some days just because you miss them so much. So it definitely gets a little bit easier, but this far in, I'm still having days where I just wish that I could talk to them. Or days that I just wish that I could give them a hug. And I'm sorry. And I have to say that lately, aside from really missing them and just wishing that I could, give them a hug and have a conversation with them, I've also realized that when I see people my age out with their parents, I'm really, really jealous. I'm so jealous. And if you still have your mom and dad here, believe me, I am so happy that you do. I'm really happy for you, but I'm really jealous because I wish that I had my mom and dad still around. I'm sorry. I knew that I would get emotional talking about this, but I do think that some of you probably might be feeling the same way. It's just hard. It's still really hard. And I will say that I am so incredibly blessed because I have a really great relationship with my mother-in-law. And I know mother-in-laws get a lot of flack, but I am really blessed because she watches all of my videos. So I know she's watching this. So Marion, I'm truly blessed to still have her, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. I just wish I had my parents too. So those of you out there that are struggling, missing your mom and dad, no matter how many years ago they may have been gone, or I want you to know I understand. I get it. It's something that's, way nature is supposed to be. And as a parent myself, I want to go first before my own children. But I just know that I think I'm going to be having these pangs probably for the rest of my life, missing my mom and dad. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. All right. This last thing I wanted to talk about should be a little less emotional, but still something I have been struggling with. All right, hang on a second. Let me try to dry up these tears. I'll be right back. All right, and the last thing I have been struggling with lately is that I really am like lacking motivation that I normally seem to have. We are at almost the end of August, and I have outside projects and yard work that I should have been done months ago, and I just can't seem to like get myself started on some of these projects. My closet is a complete disaster, and there's different like the pantry and closets and, like I said, outside things that I just can't seem to like jump in and get started with. And normally I'm pretty good about, I make a daily to-do list, but then I also have like a projects to-do list that I just kind of keep plugging away at. And oh my goodness, if for some reason I'm just not struggling just to like start and to, you know, really like jump in and just get this stuff done. And for some reason, I don't know what it is. What I'm hoping is that, you know how sometimes when I'm putting it out there to you, so now I feel like I have to be accountable to you, that maybe I can finally get my motivation back and get taking care of these things that I just need to take care of, that I just haven't seemed to have been able to jump in and do. So I don't know if any of you are struggling with a lack of motivation, but I certainly am. And maybe I'm hopeful though that after making this video, this is just like kind of the kick in the butt that I need just to kind of get going. All right, friends. Well, I hope that I hope that this video wasn't, you know, too much of a downer. I'm definitely not trying to be a downer. I do want you to know that if you're struggling with any of the same things that I am struggling with, I understand. I get it. And I always leave my email in the bottom of the description box in my videos. And I welcome you if you ever want to email and just have someone that can understand what you're going through. I'm here. So with that said, I think I am just going to wrap this up for today. And I do just want to thank you. You are all so lovely and kind. And I wouldn't be able to do this kind of video if I didn't, you know, really have the most wonderful viewers and subscribers. So thank you for that. Okay, friends, so I will see you next time. Bye.